Recording in progress. All right. Welcome everybody to this week's version of the Activated Life. My name is Brooke Riedrich and I am here with Dr. Sandy Funk, and we're going to give you a little bit of an overview and tag along in some personal stories that honestly is just real life, right? But first and foremost, a little bit of introduction to LifeVantage and what we are. But as you can see right here, LifeVantage is the activation company. If it'll advance forward, it's thinking. There we go. We take it to make it. So we empower our bodies to make the antioxidants, proteins, enzymes, and things you need for better health. When you share LifeVantage, you're also activating an opportunity with the ability to learn and supplement income. We're going to get a little bit more into that, but first and foremost, we're going to kind of go into the company story, and then obviously Sandy and I's experience with what we call our Kickstart bundle, which is the fat burn, our Protandim NRF2, and then our Axio, as we're going to talk about a little bit more of these three products tonight. But who we are, it's good to know who you're in front of. So LifeVantage, we're a debt-free, financially transparent company. We've been in business for over 20 years with manufacturing experience. We sold over 2 billion products. All of these are facts, publicly traded on the NASDAQ, which is super cool and fun to watch. And obviously the Entrepreneur Magazine just features us as a stock to buy. But we're going to start with where we started in our foundation. So our foundation is this guy right here. We started with the investigative report, the ABC Primetime Investigative Report that aired in 2005. Honestly, if you have not watched it, please get back to the person that invited you here, because that is chills. Every time I still watch it because it's so relevant even 20 years later. But our little yellow activator, that Protandim NRF2, was born and launched and marketed in 2003. We switched to from retail to direct sales in 2009. Like I said before, we're publicly traded on the NASDAQ under the code LFVN, and then obviously being studied by prestigious medical centers, self-funded research on our Protandim NRF2. But let's get into the big stuff. So those that don't know me, so again, Brooke Riedrich, I am a mom of 7, married for 19 years to my husband. On the left there, these pictures are taken almost to the day 5 years apart. So you can see how much time flashes before our eyes. But before that, if we rewind even just a little bit more, this is me back in 2006, 2005, 2006. I dove in college. I was a collegiate diver. I also pole vaulted at Morehead State University, Morehead State. That's what I call it anyways. And little be known to me that my husband and I got married in June of 2006. And in September of 2006, my husband and I would get hit by a drunk driver on the interstate bridge here. And the only thing that they told me at the time is that you're going to be stiff and sore for a few days. Have a good time, right? I was, again, like I said, I was a college athlete. I was everywhere. I was a photography major at the time, 4-hour art classes. And then like essentially my world was shattered. Couldn't figure out why I couldn't concentrate, why all of a sudden I had debilitating migraines. I got all of a sudden was sensitive to light. I couldn't get through my 4-hour art classes because I couldn't keep my head kind of above for long periods of time. I did every therapy under the sun that I knew of at the time. I did PT, I did OT, I did pain management. They nerve burned the backside of my head so you couldn't feel it. So hopefully that those migraines would go away. That didn't work very well. I did massage, acupuncture. Prior to Sandy, no offense, I had a really not awesome chiropractor that just, I don't know, just didn't leave a good experience in my head. I did heavy pain meds, no pain meds. And in all of the middle of this, I failed out of college. I petitioned to go back so I could do what I loved. Like I loved pole vaulting. I loved being an athlete. It's what drove me. And all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore. And so I petitioned to go back so I could get back the next semester. And then I failed out of school again, just mainly because my retention was down. I couldn't concentrate. And then we moved back to North Dakota because I was living in Morehead at the time. And we moved back to North Dakota. And so in all of this time in the migraines, I was having babies and a lot of babies. as you can see. So I had 5 kids in 5.5 years, and I was introduced to this little guy right here when I was pregnant with number 5. And if you would have seen me before this, I was a stay-at-home mom after I got pregnant with number 2. And other people were taking care of my kids. I was a stay-at-home mom after number 2, like I said, but 12 to 15 days out of the month, I was in bed. My kids were with somebody else. My husband would come home from work. He would take the kids outside and I would be inside. And I was legit miserable. I met Rochelle Klein. She's the person that introduced me to this. And thank goodness for her. Like I cannot put enough thanks on that. She cared enough about me to word vomit a bunch of things. And I just like, here's my card, just take it. I've tried everything else, all the things. And just started because I had lost hope in everything else of actually kind of living a full life, I guess you could say. And so then I was introduced to Protandim NRF2. And results, they weren't overnight, but they were there. And now I've been with LifeVantage for about 12.5 years. I haven't had a migraine in about 9.5. And I should disclose that we can't cure, treat, prevent, mitigate any of those type of things. But we address oxidative stress. That's, just stress in your body, right? It's kind of gone haywire. And so Protandim NRF2, we reduce oxidative stress on average of 40% in 30 days, upwards of 70% when taken 120 days or longer. There's no other anti-aging or antioxidant supplement that can come close to Protandim's power. The conclusion that I've honestly come up with is that this is a natural anti-inflammatory. Like I was taking high anti-inflammatories in my body just to kind of get everything to calm down. And when my body started working better for itself, the magic happened. Like I said, I haven't had a migraine in 9.5 years. I still get headaches every once in a while. But dang, like I was racing around the racetrack with my kids. I'm out playing. I'm not stuck to my bed. I can have curtains open. Like you'd never see behind me. Like you never see me with windows open. But here's the cool part about, and the unfortunate part of what can happen with uncontrolled oxidative stress. And like I said, this is our foundation. Like I will never go a day without this little guy in my body in some way. But it's literally linked to over 200 disease processes, functions, all the things. When you start up at the heart, right? The cardiac fibrosis, the hypertension, you go into the skin with skin aging, dermatitis, melanoma, the kidney disease, rheumatoid arthritis. Oh my God, our joints, right? COPD, allergies, cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. You keep going around the wheel here. Something in your family or something in yourself will be like, oh my gosh, I know somebody who's dealing with that, right? And so this is our foundational piece of that. What they did then after that was Washington State University put all of these studies on Protandim, not necessarily on a Protandim, but on NRF2 research, the NRF2 research. They combined it, they put it all together, and at the conclusion of this, their study came out and said, NRF2 may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. And we have the most potent, all-natural NRF2 activator on the planet that is affordable for all of us to consume. And we don't need a prescription to get it. And so that's our foundation. But Sandy has an incredible story as well. Dr. Sandy Funk, she's a chiropractor at Lifestyle Chiropractic here in Bismarck. I just happenstance met her 3 years ago, almost to the day. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her story and how she got started and what this breakthrough in this little yellow guy has done for her and her practice.
Hello, as Brooke said, I am Sandy Funk, and I met Brooke 3 years ago, and we had met in a networking group. And at the time, I really wasn't necessarily looking to be in any kind of business, and that's not even where we started with everything. But I remember that I was looking for a clean skincare, and only because at that time, like this is what was going on my cheeks. It started in October of 2018, but I didn't start any LifeVantage products until June of 2022. However, when I first started the skincare, I wasn't even trying to get rid of the rosacea. I had come to the fact that I would probably never go away because I had tried everything. I had done all kinds of nutrition, supplements from well-known companies, and I even got to the point of trying things I didn't want to try, such as prescription just for the rosacea, as well as using a skincare that wasn't clean. So all I wanted at this point in time was a clean skincare. I talked to Brooke, and she said, "Yep, I have a clean skincare," and she told me all the details on that. And then, because this was 3 years ago in June, she said, "But we also have a collagen that's launching this month, and I think you should really try that with the skincare." And I did not want to try it at all. I was like, "Brooke, I've tried collagen, it doesn't work. I know it's good for us, but none of them, I've tried many, they don't work." And so she showed me the pictures of people who were having results with the LifeVantage collagen. And finally, I was like, okay, fine. I will do the skincare along with the collagen, but with the collagen, yeah, I'm only doing 60 days. So if I don't see any results in 60 days, like I'm getting rid of that collagen. So I honestly I wasn't expecting a lot of results. So, but at the time I took pictures, I did the before pictures and took them at the increments that was asked of us. And I started to see changes. And the first changes that I started to see was in my crow's feet. And I was really excited about that because that was the area that I probably wanted most help with. Because again, I thought my rosacea would never go away. But little by little, that rosacea started to get less and less. And so 60 days in, I went back and I said, "Brooke, okay, now you have to tell me why this is working, because I have no idea why." We didn't even get into that part of the products. We were just I was just starting to use the product. So, anyways, Brooke then explained it to me, explained the Protandim NRF2 story, and I had a full understanding of why this was working. Pieces of the NRF2 are also within the skincare and in the collagen, and it was making a huge difference. The oxidative stress, aging, I was feeling like I was aging hugely at that time, and it worked. It was working for me. So from that point on, I knew that it was something that I needed and that I wouldn't go without it. Um, so at that point, that's when I decided I was going to be able to share it also. Because if I needed it, my family needed it, and then all my patients needed to know about this also, because of the oxidative stress component. If there's oxidative stress in the body, which ultimately that's what the rosacea was, it was inflammation that was showing up on my face. So if that was going on the outside of my body, I knew it absolutely was happening on the inside too. And so I'm a relatively healthy person, and that was happening with me. I see many patients who are sick with varying levels of illness or health, and they needed this. And that was why it was such a huge thing for me to be able to share it, that I would have an option for them that I knew worked. And so that's where I started with the Protandim and LifeVantage. So
Yeah,
the other
I had
piece,
to laugh because I honestly thought when she asked me like, how is it working? I was like, how do you not know? Like, I think she had to ask me like 5 or 6 times before I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, let's back up. Like, I was throwing all these things. And it was, just kind of refreshing to know that we still are on the cusp of the masses not knowing what we have at our fingertips. You can see on here, the 5 ingredients that are in there. Like, we can get into all the facts and all of those things. But yeah, I had to laugh at that because who knew all the
yeah,
things?
it wasn't until I heard the full story of it that it clicked, that I understood what was, why it worked. And I also love that we have the science to back it, which was really huge for me with having a practice. So, anyways, the Axio is huge. I love it. It is the best brain nutrition that I know about. I use it every single day. We are taking the Axio to making the brain messengers, increasing our energy, activates mental clarity, powers your brain and body, supports a positive mood. So you can see on this example right here, that when a 9-year-old was starting to take Axio after 1 week, how it was calming their mind, it was calming their body so that they were able to even write better. That in itself is just such a wonderful example to see how that can really change in not only adults, we feel the difference, but in children too. And so one thing that I love about Axio is all of the ingredients. That's the piece that I get into a lot. The B vitamins in Axio are amazing. There's the niacin, B6, B12. These are huge for brain development. Magnesium is in there as well, which most of us are highly, highly deficient in magnesium. So these are cofactors and nutrients that are also found in our methylation and detox process in our bodies. So not only is it helping with the brain and the neurotransmitters and so on, but it's also helping our body to detox as well. And then along with all the other products in our company, there's always pieces of the NRF2 activators. So there's pine bark, green tea, quercetin, and all of those are NRF2 activators as it's decreasing the inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. It's balancing our stress hormones. And the balancing the neurotransmitters in our brain. So it's just hugely calming. We are getting energy, but then it's calming at the same time. L-theanine is an antioxidant, anti-anxiety effect is what that has. And so it's, again, here's another example of a third grade spelling test before and 15 minutes after drinking the Axio. I mean, amazing. You can just see, I mean, 15 minutes, that's huge where our body can just utilize all those ingredients and really to be functioning at a higher level. So we're getting the clean energy, we are alert, but calm and without the jitters. So it's my daily go-to and just fabulous for people to be hydrated. But also if you don't like the taste of water, which I've been hearing that a lot lately, which is crazy to me, adding the flavors makes it able for people, even more people to be drinking it. So
Before we move on to our next one, so we have covered, there's 3 products in our Kickstart bundle. So, I mean, we're busy moms. She's busy with 3, one's in college, 2 are in middle school and high school. I have 7, all the way from 17 to 5. This is a foundation in ours too. Like the Protanum is a foundation in ours. But, and then we talked about the Axio, which is 2 of the 3 that we've talked about already. This is a staple. We have stashes everywhere. If you're sitting here today, like what I want you to notice when you go out into your workday tomorrow or you go out with friends and family is who's reaching for their second, third, fourth cup of coffee, who's crashing in the middle of the day, who's drinking the Dr. Peppers and the Cokes and the Mellow Yellows and everything else to get their kick of caffeine. Pay attention if you got little kids running around, right? Our children today, like I know specifically mine, they are under so much more pressure, I think, even from when I went through school 20 years ago. They have cell phones in their pockets. Like my daughter's in high school now. She'll graduate this next year. She'll have 2 years of college done before she even graduates high school, right? Social pressures, sport pressures, you know, all of those things. And this is the foundation. Like if my kids, this is like, I have this everywhere that they can just grab and go because it's better than a Gatorade. It's better than a Capri Sun and all the sugary things to know that they're fueling their body at least better and more efficiently than what's out there. Our last product in the Kickstart bundle, which is has been a foundation for me for years and years and years, is the Fat Burn. Sandy didn't know I was putting these pictures on there, but here we are. And so when this thing first came out, the company, and I should have found the original ones, the company did a challenge. And the first time I ever did this was right after, I believe, right before baby number 6, I think. And again, I was an athlete, right? I'm used to being an athlete. I'm used to kind of moving around and doing all the things, but I could not shake 5 or 6 kids worth of baby weight. It was awful. I felt my body slowing down. I was hiking my pants up to my upper stomach just to tuck everything in. And this is I've used intermittently and for years now. The first time I used it, like I said, I lost 56 pounds over the course of 3 months. It supports your weight management journey with science-backed formula. I'm going to read it because it's so important. That helps activate your body's natural ability to convert fat tissue into a form that helps burn more calories, which can lead to an overall fat reduction, especially in the problematic midsection. You can see down there that just by taking this without adding any extra exercise, you increase your calorie expenditure by 181 calories a day. Total fat decreased by 5.2% or equivalent to 4 pounds. 65% of fat loss was in the waist and hips. And that beige fat, like I do it to my kids all the time. Go outside with a coat. Like, why are all these kids walking around without coats on in winter? Like, North Dakota, it's cold. Come on. Well, they have more brown fat, so their body temperature is a little bit higher, and they're burning more calories, so they don't feel cold like we do or I do, being a little bit older. But I want to highlight just this picture down in the first left. I know I'm sticking my tongue out at my kids. I had Sawyer, and when I had Sawyer, he's my number 7. He's 5 now, but right after I had him in March 13th, 2020, so the day the world shut down. And this is me roofing our house, like on top of our house in, I think, May, so a couple months after. But this is when I was at my heaviest. When I had him, I was 236 pounds, 232 pounds. When I had Lily, like I know that was a while before this, 12 years before that, I was 119 pounds soaking wet. After Hadley, which was my number 6, I got down to about 140, 145. So my body, when I was pregnant, liked to gain weight. And then I had him at 35, and my body did not want to lose weight. And this is pre-GLP-1, this is pre all of that kind of stuff, where I was looking for something that would work with my body to essentially just help me burn calories, right? Get my metabolism working again. So intermittently, I've taken this, had really great success. The first time I lost the 56 pounds, it wasn't with a whole lot of exercise. Now I know I haven't had a migraine in quite a few years, but I'm still working through some structural things. And when I exercise, everything flares up. And you can pretty much guess that I'm out for a couple days. But with the fat burn, and you can see on the right hand side here the picture of Sandy and I, that was maybe what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe, exercise and everything else. So on the left, 232 pounds. On the right, I'm at 160 now, so getting closer. But I lean on this guy a lot, mainly because, and when I've gotten more of, you listen to the science, you do all the things, what really stood out to me is that not only does it burn the fat that hangs just underneath your skin, but it targets the fat that hangs around our organs, right? The dangerous stuff that's around your heart, your kidneys, your lungs, your liver. We don't want that. You want that gone. And I didn't have a full solution to get rid of that because, first and foremost, and I'm not even afraid to say this anymore, I don't want to look old and I don't want to feel old. And I had kids young. I mean, I had my first one at 23. I want to be around to see my grandbabies and all the things. Like I want to live a full life. And so getting this guy in there, even as a tool intermittently, has been huge, huge, huge for just my health journey kind of overall. So with that, I know like we're not taking up a whole lot of your evening. We're coming up on 24 minutes, but we're gonna couple more stories on how you can get started and get in what's where you fit. And we're gonna try not to cry at this time because I don't say this very often and I don't share it very often. But you're gonna get in where you fit in. You can become a customer. This is how Sandy and myself kind of both started. I jumped into the consultant area pretty quickly. But if you can become a customer. You could be listening to us today on this Kickstart and be like, hey, LifeVantage and the products aren't for me right now. And that's okay too. Just please reach out to the person that invited you here and just tell them why and be open to something down the road and them reaching back out. Because I can guarantee whether it's a family member yourself, a friend, acquaintance, something's going to cross your desk and this is going to be a tool in your bucket of knowledge where then you can lean back into it if it becomes something in your life. But again, like the next step is becoming a customer. We have preferred customer where it's free to join, free to cancel, free to change your subscription. We have rewards credits, but we love our customers. We dote on them, and it's just part of your health journey. That next piece of this is becoming a consultant. Um, I know I jumped into the consultant part relatively fast, but it didn't hit home. And I wish I had pictures just because it puts a face to the name. But cancer runs heavily in my family, unfortunately. Um, when I was in 2009, my first experience with it was my uncle who passed away from lung to brain cancer. That was my first experience. From then, three of my dad's other brothers have died from lung to brain cancer. Um, but I remember my uncle Leo, he's single, never married, all the things. And he lived in Glen Ullin, which is about 90 miles west or 40 miles west of me. And because he had essentially a tumor removed on his spine. And it left him with a zipper, like staples in a zipper. And he was leaking spinal, what we've now found out was spinal fluid. And so he's like, hey, I just won't take my pain meds. I'll get into town, all these things. I'm like, heck no. I found babysitters for the 5 kids and I brought him in. He's like, and all of a sudden he was like, hey, Brooke, um, your parents told me about this product you have. When I'm done with chemo and radiation, I'd like you to tell me about it. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, right? Because up until that point, I was a consultant, but I wasn't actively sharing, mostly because of my own fear of failure, my own fear of rejection, all of those type of things. But he went into the hospital to get his chemo port in, and that went fine. What happened is that when he was in surgery, he essentially was leaking the spinal fluid really bad. And the doctors woke him up, said, hey, can we sew you up real tight? All the things. Um, and that night he woke up and my dad had been there because my dad's brother, my mom had been there. Some of his sisters were there visiting, that kind of stuff. And I remember driving past the hospital that night saying, he's awake. I'll see him tomorrow. I'll drop off his certs because he had a sugar-free cert because of dry mouth and that kind of stuff, but I'll see him in the morning. What happened overnight was he woke up. He didn't know who he was, where he was, why he was there. Because they closed him up so tight, all of that fluid was building up around his brain. And there's really nothing, like they rushed him down, put a drain in, but he ended up having a seizure and then coded and then passed away shortly the next day because we pulled life support. But I tell you that story because it solidified me that I needed to be louder. Being on the consultant side of things, these it's just pay it forward, right? The movie, paying it forward. I know we couldn't cure, treat, prevent, mitigate any type of disease or disease process. I did, however, know that at the root of cancer is oxidative stress, cells that go haywire. My uncle's had cancer. My dad's still alive, but he is in remission for lung cancer. My grandma died of blood cancer. My husband's parents both passed away of cervical cancer and esophageal cancer. My uncle has stage 4 kidney cancer. Like it's just everywhere in society and in my family now. And this guy right here, I will never stop sharing because I think Dr. Brett Brimhall said it best when he said, I'll never complain about something I never get. And I want people to put this tool in their toolbox for longevity so they can play with their grandkids, do all the things, at least give their bodies a fighting chance with everything that we have coming at us. So I'm going to kick it over to Sandy to close us out and just, yeah, close us out.
All right. So as a healthcare provider, we solve problems and we win big. And with the LifeVantage problems, with the LifeVantage products, these are the problems that we can solve. So you can see that 82% of adults are managing their weight. 120 million are trying to actively lose weight. 3 out of 5 experience low energy or exhaustion. I mean, I can say that I'm a crazy busy mom and a business owner, and a lot of people are experiencing that. 43% experience chronic pain and 62% use anti-aging products. So these are all different ways that LifeVantage products can help solve problems. Everybody is looking for something. And in the beginning, I was only looking for skincare. But after I started to hear the whole story and Brooke explain why this was working, it ignited something in me. It ignited something in me that I buried really deep because I didn't think I could do these kinds of things. I didn't think I could ever have time freedom. And as a healthcare practitioner, that's what I don't have. I'm a solo mom of three children, and I was living in survival mode for many years, at least 9 years. I was in complete survival mode, making money where I can take care of us. I'm very thankful for that, but I could not take days off and still get paid. And that piece of it weighed heavy on me, especially 5 years ago when my dad passed away. And when he did, that week I only took one day off of work because I felt like I couldn't because I still needed to take care of my children. So, anyways, just as I've learned more about LifeVantage and how this can potentially help solve even that problem of mine of time freedom, you just never know where someone is at. And if someone is ready, if you are ready to be a consultant, make even a few extra dollars, share this to help solve people's problems and really help the people that you care about the most, then what you need to do is you need to enroll with a PAC and subscribe with a stack. And so there are options that you can choose from. And I would just encourage you to get back with the person who invited you to that they could help you get enrolled with your pack today. Thank you.
All righty, that's what we have. So thank you so much for hopping on today. Short and sweet, but yes, reach out with anything. We're happy to help. Stop recording.